Looks like we are live and on the air on YouTube and Twitch. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Tuesday morning. We're here mainly to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those, you can feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat from there. We'd be more than happy to talk directly to you. Otherwise, we'll fill the air with random shop talk, and feel free to participate in that as well. Just keep in mind that any opinions expressed here are the person making that expression. So, yeah. Well, we got lots of sick people with us today, so I'm kind of feeling it as well. I didn't sleep the best last night, but that's what happens in the South here with the weather going up and going down and going back up again and going back down again. You can't figure out if you need your heated blanket or you don't need it, and it's too much of a hassle to turn it on and off. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm burning lots of calories running to the thermostat.
All 4 seasons in a week will do that to you.
It's been all 4 seasons in like the past 2 or 3 days, not even a week. South is stepping up its game. Well, otherwise, it doesn't look like we got much going on in the chat. There are some interesting things going around. Just checking through some new stuff, see if there's anything super interesting. I'm not seeing right off the bat, so I thought I actually ended up having to use this last night and thought it was a pretty interesting site. So if you use a VPN, you want to make sure that you're not leaking out data in various ways. And I actually had to test and check some things on my torrent client because apparently it was leaking my IP address here. So I reset up some things and added some SOCKS proxy usage since I didn't have that before. And then I used this site, doileak.com, to test, which has additional torrent tests you can do as well. And looks like I have it all set up correctly now, but it's a pretty neat site to test and see what all kind of information, even just especially, people can gather from you just going to a web page.
That'd be a good link to add to D72 links within D72.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it also led me to another site, I think. Is this the one? No, but there's a WEBRTC, and apparently that can leak your IP address, but there's actually a Chrome extension for it that you can choose to limit and stop and manage how you view web pages. I'm trying to find the one from WebRTC because that's the one I installed. Yeah, so this one here. So with that extension, you can install that into Chrome, and it'll allow you to pick the various ways that WebRTC media is mainly the biggest thing that ends up going through it, ends up getting passed over. So you can have it use your default IP address, or if there's a proxy, you can make sure it's forced to go through the proxy, or a couple other options, and that's coming from the foundation for WEBRTC to assist with that. So I thought that was pretty neat too. But yeah, there's another good site to test with, because I didn't just trust one test, was I think DNS Leak. Yeah, I've done this one as well. So DNS Leak, and there was one other one I did. See if I can find it here. One second. Apparently it's not letting me go to it unless I'm on a VPN.
DNS leak test?
Well, that was the one that I put in there, but this is the other one. I wanted to make sure it wasn't down before I posted it. Yeah. So this is the other one I had, ipleak.net. Oh man, of course that wouldn't give me that whole thing. Let's see if this will copy. No, apparently my copy and paste is broken. Awesome. So ipleak.net.
Yep, there's Proctor. Proctor?
Are y'all there?
Now we are. Are you there?
I don't know. I think my internet went out. Everything just froze for a minute.
Sure
Yeah,
did.
well, the streams are down too now too. Hopefully the
Phoenix wasn't very chatty anyway.
Yeah, hopefully the YouTube will pick right back up if it. Yep, YouTube did pick up. And Twitch is back up. All right, so we're good. We're back up.
That was weird.
Proctor heard all about these leak tests and decided to turn his VPN on during the stream.
I did not.
Just immediately. I didn't know.
No, it wasn't me. I swear. Hold on a second. Hey, Quark, you just missed all the shenanigans. We were talking about VPN and IP and DNS leaks, and Proctor turned on his VPN during the middle of the show. But anyway, I'll repost them there since you just joined us, and you're the first person in our chat here, really. So we were talking about that site and this extension and this site and this site. And essentially what we're talking about is all of the ways you can test out your VPN is set up accordingly if you're trying to use a VPN. And I had an issue with mine where apparently my torrent client was leaking my IP address at some point. So I ended up having to add an additional SOX proxy. They do look not safe for work, but they are all safe for work. Very doileak.com.
Thought the graphic was awesome myself.
Yeah, that is a good graphic for that one too. But yeah, they are all safe for work and actually helpful for work if you're have a client that's trying to use a VPN properly. And VPNs are not just for trying to stay anonymous or trying to download things with torrents or various things like that. They are also extremely good in the commercial environment, and almost highly recommended that if you have company laptops or something like that, that you force them to go through VPN for any of their connectivity. That way, if they are out and about or join a public Wi-Fi, you know that your company data is secured and whatever they're doing on that system is being secured, because that is going to be the reason why VPNs will be able to stay around, is because it's not just to hide you, it's to encrypt your traffic from your computer out to whatever trusted server you have, then out to the internet. So it also could be for maintaining records and logs on that side if you have a VPN that is tracking logs like a corporate workplace one may do. But those are good sites to test and make sure that the VPN set up properly and everything that they're using should be going through that VPN. The two sites, the DoILeak and IPleak.net, have additional tests that you can do to add magnetic links for torrent files and make sure that your torrent client is going through the VPN as well and not leaking your address in any way. But I was trying to think too of other ways to test other products that might leak your IP address, because I mean, you're not always going to be going through a web browser for your network connectivity, and some things may not use your proxy and just try to use a direct connection, which is why I usually set up my VPN with a client that takes over the network and doesn't allow network access outside of VPN if it's connected and on. A good free alternative for that is OpenVPN. You can easily set up your own server and client, and I believe we even had a show on that.
I think we did.
Here. Yeah, so we had a whole show on setting up a OpenVPN server and client. So there's one if you want to set up your own VPN server, and like I said, it's extremely useful for corporate environments, and making sure that your road warriors are staying encrypted and secured. And otherwise, the VPN that I like to use is private internet access, and I'll go ahead and shout them out because I just found out last night too they provide a SOCKS 5 proxy with the account and stuff too. So and I'm not sure if GHack's deal is still going on, but
It is.
he had. What's that?
Yeah, I posted it. The GHacks link.
Oh, where's that? Did you just post it just now?
Okay. Hex chat apparently is not working.
Oh, I should check the stream and make sure those are coming back up. Yeah, the Hex chat on the stream is working.
This other one is not. That's weird.
Oh, there goes yours now. So yeah, that 2-year subscription for fairly good price. I think it was like $40 or $60, wasn't it?
Yeah, $59.99, $59.95.
Yeah, so $60 for 2 years. Extremely good price. Their standard pricing is let's see what it was. $39.95 for a single year. So good $20 off there. But they are extremely good. I haven't had any issues with them. The connectivity and speed of it is great and easy setup. You get 5 devices you can use it on all the time. They have a phone app that works fairly well as phone apps can work without having a rooted phone and ability to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, good stuff there. So all right, moving on, other random stuff. I thought this was pretty interesting video I came across. So apparently there was a lake in Louisiana that was a 10-foot deep freshwater lake with a little island in the middle of it. Right beside it was a salt dome that a company has been mining salt out of for since the early 1900s. And apparently salt domes have a high probability of creating oil pockets. So Texaco Oil Company decided they were going to go and drill for some oil right offside of that salt dome. Well, they were drilling in the middle of the lake on a platform. The drill seized up, and that's not uncommon when you're drilling like that. So they stopped it and then tried to wrangle it loose and get it started again. And when they did, the whole platform started shaking and then started to tilt. Well, they all got scared that the platform was going to fall over, so they evacuated the platform. And then from the banks of the shore, they watched as the platform tipped over, fell into the lake, and then a whirlpool started to appear. And then the whirlpool just got bigger, 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 to the point where the whirlpool got so big that it sucked down the island, the boats, the docks, and some buildings even nearby out of there. And the river that it was the river that it was feeding that went out to the ocean or to the Gulf. The whirlpool was so strong that it actually reversed the flow of it, and it was like a 19-mile river. It reversed the flow of it and pulled water from the Gulf back into the lake. So now this 10-foot freshwater lake is a 1,300-foot deep saltwater lake with no island. And what happened was when they were drilling, they had miscalculated where the mines were for the salt mines. They thought they were hundreds of feet away from where the furthest salt mine had extended, but they were actually not. They were actually right on top of it. So they had drilled down into one of the open salt mines, and that 14-inch hole from the drill allowed water to rush through at a high rate of speed, which then eroded the hole, making the hole much bigger, to the point where it made it the hole 1,300 feet deep at the size of the lake. And it was also interesting, they said that after the water had all gone into the salt mines, there was actually this huge 1,300-foot crater, and the river was continuing to flow backwards, so it created a waterfall, which then filled up the lake with salt water. And the people in the salt mines were in there working, and they noticed some water in the salt mines, which there shouldn't be any water in those mines. And they sounded an alarm and got people out, and then they even went all the way back to the outer reaches of it to make sure that everybody knew to get out of it and that the place was evacuated. By the time they were getting all 60 people out, they had water up to their knees that they were waiting on to get out with the elevator that only takes 8 people at a time. So they luckily all got out. There was actually no human casualties from this whole fiasco. It ended up costing Texaco like $45 million, and there were 3 dogs that got trapped in it, but past that, no human casualties. One of the largest disasters with no casualties at all. So
When did this happen?
I did not catch that. And of course,
Published on YouTube in July 2016. I don't know when it
yeah,
actually.
no, it was definitely not recent activity. I'm trying to. I'm trying to find the name of the lake so that I can look that up. Lake Peigneur in Louisiana. I'm not sure how to spell that. 1980. Yeah, he didn't mention a year, I don't think. But here is the Wikipedia on it, and it has the drilling disaster details about it. So there's that, and apparently looking that up, there's a couple other videos about it. Let's see if that's a good video or not. Those are just documentary people talking about it and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty crazy that
So
happened.
a lot farther inland than I thought it was too.
Yeah, and that's how far the river reversed flow from the pool of that.
That's
whirlpool.
insane.
Like, just having a river reverse flow is pretty insane to me. But
Yeah, the whirlpool, I think it said, was a mile across.
It ended up being that. Like, it slowly grew and grew as the water was going inside and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It was a really, really interesting video to just happen across. So, I haven't looked into the rest of that guy's YouTube videos, but apparently he said he does a new one every day, and you might find a lot of things you might not know. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy event, and can show you the environmental impact that humans can cause, like the salt mine drilling, or the salt mining and the oil drilling. Both of those are basically what changed a lake from freshwater to saltwater, from 10 foot deep to 1,400 feet deep.
That had to be a huge change for the ecology there.
Yeah,
From a freshwater lake to a huge saltwater lake.
Yeah. Probably affected quite a bit of things.
Is it still saltwater?
As far as I'm aware, I don't know where it would have gotten the fresh water from. I didn't follow up on it and check it out. But I mean, I just found that Wikipedia about it, so I would imagine it would still say salt water. And he just posted it last year, so I thought maybe he would have added that. Oh, that's cool. In the Wikipedia, it says that the backflow created for a few days the tallest waterfall ever in the state of Louisiana at 164 feet. It's awesome. Cool. Oh, that's cool too. Air displaced by the water flowing into the mine caverns erupted through the mine shafts as compressed air and then later as 400-foot geysers.
Wow.
Man, that place would have been crazy during that time. Man, I wish we had cell phones and digital cameras when that happened. Yeah, I mean, obviously the lake ecology is definitely destroyed. The surrounding stuff probably would be too, because I mean, now you got animals that were probably going there to drink and stuff, and now it's got salt water in it instead. That's terrible. So yeah, some pretty crazy stuff there.
And the salt didn't come from the mine; it came from the Gulf.
Of Mexico. Yeah. And see, I thought that too when I was like, "Oh, it's on a salt mine. That's how it's now a salt water lake."
That was my thought.
Not at all how that happened. It actually reversed the flow and pulled things from the Gulf of Mexico, like 19 miles away. I let the dog in. All right. So next one I thought was a pretty interesting commentary as well. This one is called "Why Uber is a Scam," and we've talked about before how much we enjoyed being able to use Uber in Austin at the convention when we needed to. And I mean, how could you not as a passenger? You get great prices, fast and easy pickup and delivery, and it seems to work out great.
Well, that's for the for the passengers. Maybe it's more of a scam for the
and that's
the drivers.
That's what the video is about. Is basically that Uber is or was advertising on their site at the time that drivers could earn up to $19 an hour. And of that $19 an hour, they forgot to mention that as a contract employee, you're going to have to pay for taxes, commission to YouTube or commission to Uber, your mileage, like your car mileage stuff and all that, and maintenance, and like car mileage meaning the maintenance and upkeep of your car as you continue to put miles on it and the depreciation it's going to go through. Then
which would be tax deductible though too.
Yeah, but that doesn't help you get the money back.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't take the wear and tear off your car.
Yeah. So that, and then Uber wants you to provide things like water and gum and car chargers to people, and there's a couple other things in there, but essentially it all breaks down to that you end up actually in reality earning about $2 an hour driving for Uber. And if that's the case, then why are so many people driving for Uber? Well, essentially what ends up happening is if you need to make money fast, Uber is a great way to do it, because you go out and you got rent due in 3 days. Well, in 3 days, you go out and drive for Uber that entire time, you're able to make your rent money real quick, real fast, and get paid for it real quick, easy, and fast. So you got $400 in your pocket, but you don't realize that $400 is then going to be taxed, and the wear and tear on your car needs to take it out of it. And essentially, they're taking advantage of those Uber drivers that don't realize that they're going to end up having to pay for all this stuff down the road. So they're like, yeah, you're making tons of money an hour, but you're really not in reality. And
Well, I mean, the people know that they're going to have to pay the commission to Uber, and if you're smart, you know you're going to have wear and tear on your car and these other expenses and the taxes. So it's not really misleading. It's people not doing their homework.
yeah, but I mean, with how easy and great Uber makes it sound, you would think they would be saying that to drivers up front and being like, hey, you're not actually making $19 an hour. You're probably only making about $2 an hour because you should be taking all this into account. But and that's what the video was saying, is that they're kind of targeting those type of people that aren't doing
They're
that.
targeting
Like,
the people that are just trying to make a quick dollar and
quick buck and move on, because that's how they keep their rates low. That's how they keep their commission high, is they're basically just taking advantage of people that don't take all that stuff in.
Well, one thing I noticed about Uber was with a traditional taxi cab, generally speaking, you tip the cab driver.
Yeah,
But
and
in
they don't
Austin, when
allow
I
it.
tried to tip the Uber guys, they almost didn't know what
Uber
why
doesn't
I was
allow
tipping
it,
them.
actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's apparently against Uber's regulations, from what I understand. Ian drives for Uber, and he says everything is deductible since it's a 1099, and it's not required to have water and snacks, but it's a plus. It's recommended, and it helps keep a 5-star rating. So, Ian, what's your experiences? You're enjoying it, obviously. Have you been doing it for over a year and gone through tax time? And how's the wear and tear on your car been? Man, I have so many questions for you on it. I would be interested to know, because Johnny's brother drives for Uber as well, and I don't think he's taken into account all of those items and actions. I think he's like one of those that need the money quick, fast, and think it's a great way to go about it. There's something else I had a question about for it too.
How about the tipping, Ian? Do they allow tipping? I know I have a friend of mine who's an Uber driver and has been for a while. I don't know if she's gone through tax time yet or not. But I was telling her to set up a Square account so that she could more easily take tips.
Yeah, if you're allowed to.
Yeah, if you're allowed to.
He's about to take tips.
He's about to.
He's about to go through tax stuff this year. I gotcha. Yeah, I forget the stream slides back a little bit. I guess I didn't save that link thing. So let me see. Yeah, see, Ian, that's the thing about 1099 and contract workers, is that, like, if you're trying to estimate it off of what your employer pays you and what taxes get taken out of that, that's not what taxes are getting paid. The employer actually pays half of the taxes for each employee, and then the employee pays the other half. I'm correct in that, right, Proctor?
It's not half, but the employer does pay a portion. So as a self-employed person, you're gonna when you file your taxes, you're also gonna have to pay self-employment taxes, which is probably going to be around 15.3% on top of your tax rate.
So whatever your standard tax rate that you get on a employee employer-employee.
And that consists of two
Plus.
parts. It's your Social Security plus your disability insurance and Medicare insurance premiums is what you're paying with that self-employed person's tax, and that's what your employer pays a portion of.
Oh, and he's going to take advantage of Sheree being a non-practicing CPA as his personal tax consultant. So, well, that works out well.
That'll help out. And Sheree can do everything. She's awesome.
She is. She's very multi-talented. Well, this was the other article I'd come across with Uber while we're on the subject. Apparently, there is a high likelihood of people ending up sleeping in their cars because of being Uber drivers. The example in this article that I just posted, this guy lives alone in Indiana, but he drives to Chicago to do Uber because you get regular fares and pay and more chance of being able to work. But then it's actually cheaper for him to stay in Chicago and sleep in his car than it is to drive back home and then get up and go back to work the next day. So that's another side of it is, I guess, depending on where you live, it's more lucrative or not lucrative to be driving around, where obviously a small town in Indiana probably would not have as many Uber requests as Chicago would. So taking that into account is how far you have to drive to get to it and get back, and the gas money and various things like that. It does seem like
that's a lot of additional expense to driving.
Yeah,
commuting to where you're going to actually work.
Yeah, he said when he began driving, he made around $40 an hour. But regular fare drops mean that he has to sleep in his car to make his lease payment so that he can have a car to work. Oh, and these are people that are actually renting or leasing cars from Uber. So that adds a whole nother side of things in it. Make friends in Chicago. Hey, here's your house. Man, that looks really nice. Do you got a couch?
Is anybody sleeping on it yet?
Do you mind if I come in and just take a couple hours nap? So yeah, that's lots of things going on with that, and I mean the ride sharing economy is awesome, and I do enjoy it, and it is extremely cheap, but that's probably part of the problem is that they're undercutting taxis so much that I guess that's kind of where the scamming part might come in too, is like, and I mean, maybe these videos are all supported by taxi companies. I don't know. Maybe it's not the truth, but is that taxis have a fairly regular rate. Like, it's fairly expensive to take a taxi from one place to another. It's not like comparative to Uber. Uber is extremely cheap.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
A taxi ride, and that's what most people like about it, and that's why it's gotten popular and being used. But that's kind of always been in the back of my head, is how are they being so cheap? Like, that's the kind of thing you kind of have to make you wonder about, like, if taxis have been doing this for, I mean, since cars have probably been around, and they've got a fairly standard price rate in locations, how is Uber getting to do it so cheap? Where is that money getting cut out of? Because I mean, it's got to come from somewhere. Like, it ain't like you're making millions of dollars being a taxi driver. So I know it's not like taxi companies are like this great for-profit company. So they got to be cutting some corners somewhere to be able to make that money. And apparently it seems like it's pointing up to the employees are actually the ones
They're paying
taking
it.
the biggest cut. Yeah. Yeah, and in certain cities it is hard to get a cab sometimes too.
That was another thing I liked about Uber. You could get an Uber so much quicker than the taxi when we were in Austin.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess the whole where's the price cuts coming in kind of is like, it reminds me of things like if a fast food restaurant all of a sudden started offering filet mignons at $5 a pop for like a 10-ounce filet mignon, I'd be like, I'm kind of a little bit hesitant about that. Why does that cost $20 at this restaurant and it costs $5 at the fast food place? You might want to weigh your options a little bit more on that. So yeah. Yeah, if you live near a big city, I think Uber might be a little bit more profitable for you, especially. Probably more likely. Johnny was thinking about starting up Uber here, and I was like, I don't even know if people know how to use cell phones like that around here. Kind of in
I was thinking about that about High Point,
Yeah.
but I actually had one of my customers who he owned several restaurants, and then he was moonlighting as an Uber driver.
Hmm.
And he tried to convince me to do it. I'm like, dude, I don't have time.
No, I mean, your area's got the 3 big cities, and you'd be driving around those 3 fairly big cities all the time. So see that being a little bit better. Here, the closest thing we got is Greenville. Otherwise, we'd be looking at doing the 2-hour drive to Atlanta. And Atlanta, we'd probably make a whole bunch of money doing it. But yeah, I don't think that would be worth it that much.
Probably don't want to sleep in your car in Atlanta either.
Ian, yeah. Hollywood is in LA, so. But you can inform them that LA is fairly territorial, so there could be just Hollywood Uber drivers. They don't like to go outside of their territory. Yeah, and New Jersey, New York City, pretty much, yeah, it could be considered one big city there. So yeah, let's see what else we got out here. I've had some other things I've been saving up. Oh, yesterday we talked about Academy Awards, the Oscars, and DeadPool, and apparently all the nominations are in, and they completely snubbed DeadPool. Deadpool didn't get any kind of recognition. Suicide Squad got in there. Mad Max got in there. And I don't understand how Arrival got into Best Picture. It was a terrible movie. It was not that good at all. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting that we talked about it and then it came up again. So this link kind of brought back some nostalgia. I was reading over this article, no CD cracks, and they're telling you how to play games with no CD cracks, which not that big of a thing now. I mean, most of your stuff is downloadable content now, so only CDs you have to deal with end up being on Xbox and consoles and PlayStations, which essentially most of those CDs now are just primer CDs that say oh, we'll download all the content to your device now. So anyway, what I thought was interesting about it was it mentioned safe places to get CD cracks, and Game Copy World still alive and kicking. Brought back. I've used that site so many times. I couldn't believe it's still up and running and alive. They actually got a few mirrors even. So I was really excited to hear that. Nick was like, "Hey, I've heard that name before too." And
I was like, why is that so familiar?
Yeah, I haven't been to that site in a long time.
yeah, great place though. Great stuff. But yeah, I mean with Stream or Steam and uh, IGN and all those offering downloadable content now, I don't see why anybody would buy a CD version of anything anymore, which is another reason to hate consoles. It's because they still force you to buy CDs and crap.
Yeah. And use them.
Yeah, and use them.
No, it doesn't use them, it's like that.
Yeah, because it doesn't it like most every one of them I've seen forces you to wait like 3 hours to download 6 gigabytes of content to your
Yeah.
device.
Yeah, I know. What the hell is the point of the DVD?
Yeah.
It's just like your proof of purchase or something. Huh?
Well, yeah, they got that on the account.
Yeah. That's what I would
Sure.
think too. Is like I put the CD in and it registers to my account. Now, don't make me use the CD ever again.
Yeah.
But that's not how consoles work. So, another reason why computers are awesome is because you can use no CD cracks, and they work fairly well, and they're fairly safe alternatives. The other favorite of mine was what was that System Tray app? Virtual CD-ROM, is it called?
Probably. Well, yeah, there was that one. It was like Damon Tools. I
Yeah.
used to
Damon
use
Tools,
Damon
yeah, that
Tools,
was
yeah.
one I
Tools.
used a lot.
I used to use that a lot. But I also when I could get away with it, Microsoft had one. Actually.
They do now.
They do in Windows 10.
No,
What,
they always did.
Oh, really?
They've had one since at least Windows XP. It's not included with Windows. It's a separate download.
Oh.
I've got it actually right here in my software archive. So Microsoft check utilities, apps and utilities for Windows. Yeah, old stuff. Well, I'll have to dig that up. But they have one. Oh yeah,
found
virtual.
it. Yeah.
Okay, they have one for CD-ROM drives and for floppy drives. See if I can find a download URL. If not, I can always.
I got it. Here it is.
Dang, README. Yeah, it's for Windows XP Pro.
Utility enables users of Windows XP, Vista, and 7 to mount ISO disk image files as virtual CD-ROM drives.
That's awesome.
God, why did I not know about that?
That one, and there's also this trick right here, if you can find that. What Ataka said. That's also for virtual floppy drives. I don't know where you download them. Oh, wait, you got one on Proctor.
Yeah, that one is on Microsoft's site. Let's see if this one is.
VFDs. Oh, it looks like they have replaced the floppy one with a PowerShell thing.
Oh, that's configuring the floppy drive for a virtual machine.
That's what I found there. Oh, that's Windows 10.
I don't know if this is the same thing, but I did see that it has some information on creating and storing virtual floppy disk images. So that might be helpful as well. But they give some other links as to far as what you can do for a virtual floppy drive. Oh no, that's just virtual floppy disk in general. Interesting. Yeah, that might be helpful for people, especially that don't want to have to carry around a USB floppy drive, which may or may not work depending on the computer you're trying to use it with.
I don't know. I don't see it, but BFD.in. So it comes with those files. I guess we can probably find them at some point. These are under the GNU General Public License version 2, 91. At least the floppy one is. What's the other one? Does not say. Just unsupported. Oh. Oh. Hey, you know what? The floppy drive one is not from Microsoft. My bad. That would be why it's under GNU. And the other one doesn't say anything.
Well, I did want to point out too that another ability on the daemon tools was the fact that they added some of the DRM things to it. So
oh yeah.
if you had to use that, it like Microsoft's just loads an ISO as a CD-ROM, and theirs actually like takes into account some of the DRM things that have abilities and workarounds and things. So man, those were some nostalgic days though. I feel like I stopped using daemon tools because they got a little bit too pushy or something to that effect.
Yeah, there was something went wrong there. They had some spyware or something for a while, and
Yeah, well, they
installer and something else, and then you had to use like an old version. I remember for a while because the new version was not good.
Stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, so lots of great stuff comes out of that.
Oh, duh! Here it is. Found it. The virtual floppy. You really need that, but.
I mean, more and more you may, because a lot of people do still have floppy disks that they want to get stuff off of and keep it. I guess I don't know why you would want to keep it in a floppy disk format, but maybe I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what we had talked
I have
about.
had need to use it a number of times. That's why I still have it, and but it's been a while, so I forget.
Well, the place I ended up using it a lot was setting up XP. Was the only time I remember. The last time I remember using floppy disks to get drivers for a newer motherboard available. Anyway, we had talked about VPNs at the beginning of the show, and China is finally cracking down on VPNs and making them illegal because they're circumventing the government censorship. So just want to throw that out there. Thought this was pretty cool too, that all Chromebooks coming out this year will have the ability to run Android apps as well. So that's cool. Finally getting the merging going on there. And I haven't even gotten to look at it yet, but apparently Google Voice has finally gotten its overhaul and long-awaited update.
What?
It makes me wonder if this means that the Hangouts integration is going to come out of it, and you need to go back.
Have they already implemented the update?
Unsure. Let's see. I'll try to go to mine right now.
Man, it's so tough figuring out how to use Google anymore. Their services, various services, which one to use and how to. I gave up a long time ago.
Yeah. No, mine is still on the old interface. At least the website is. I don't think I've seen the app come across as an update yet, but I'll double check that as well. But if you've never heard of Google Voice and have been living under some kind of rock, I highly recommend you check it out. It is a super, super awesome service. I've been using it for, gosh, it's got to be well over 10 years now. Pretty much almost since it first came out, I picked it up and jumped on it, and actually have a couple different Google Voice numbers, and I have not had to give out my actual cell phone number in so many years. It's so nice, especially in those times where I was between jobs and using like prepaid phones and switching prepaid phones every now and then, getting new numbers and switching locations and stuff. It's so nice to be able to say, this is my number, this is always going to be my number, and I don't even actually have to have a cell phone. All I got to have is internet connection, and I can get my messages and talk to people back and forth. So super great service. Yeah, I really like it. Highly recommend it, and we'll see where it goes. I'm just glad that apparently they're not dropping it, so you never know with Google. They could just drop it, but I think that they have to stick it around for some time, because as far as I understand, all Sprint phone numbers are a Google Voice number. And maybe you had to opt into it, or they have the ability to it. All of them do, but something around that nature with Sprint and Google Voice are highly integrated, so it'd be hard for them just to cut it out, I feel. But again, you never know with Google. So, well, that hits us at our hour time mark. So let's leave it with just one last interesting link. Apparently, Disney released the name of the upcoming Star Wars 8, Episode 8. Do you know what it is yet, Proctor?
I do not.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. That's telling.
Not the first one.
People have been thinking that this one's going to be a whole lot darker than The Force Awakens, and they've kind of hinted at this is probably the case. So it's coming out December 15th. They don't have any trailers for it yet, so we're still waiting on that. Obviously, Luke was at the very end of Force Awakens, so I'm assuming The Last Jedi means him, possibly one of the other Force Awaken people or The Last Jedi. I'm not sure. Maybe there only ends up being one of them that survives. Now there is only one Jedi. It's a very ominous title, to say the least. You can take a lot out of it. So super excited for that to progress forward. Honestly, I'm more excited about the next Star Wars movie coming out in 2018, which is the Han Solo backstory. It's going to have Donald Glover in it. It's going to have Woody Harrelson in it.
Yeah.
Not sure if Harrison Ford would be in it, but I would see it hard for him not to be at some point, some way. Yeah, that one's the one I'm really excited about. So apparently Woody Harrelson is Han Solo's mentor. So that's going to be pretty badass. So
Wow.
it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be real interesting. But this the Last Jedi also seems like it might be interesting as well. But we'll see how it goes. We got a long wait for either of those. So
Just December, you know.
yeah.
It's not like waiting for the next one after Return of the Jedi or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Good point.
True. All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up for today. So thanks everyone for joining us. Again, we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. So if you do have any of those, you can always feel free to contact our support via the various means on our website. Otherwise, if you want to talk to us directly about it, you can catch us tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our Wednesday show, and we'll be more than happy to talk and focus on our products and services. Otherwise, we'll go over this random shop talk again. So hope it's kept you entertained and you've learned some things and found some interesting things. We always do. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take us on out.